Hayward Podworks. 100 shows, one vision.
Our sources explain it all. For more information on upcoming shows or to suggest shows, email brianhayward2026@gmail.com. And now let's get into our show. Hayward Podworks is vision, deep dives into any topic.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we deliver the absolute best nuggets of knowledge straight from the source material right to you.
Our mission today is to cut through all that motivational clutter and give you a really functional understanding of a concept that, well, it truly matters.
And today we are unpacking something really fundamental to performance, to resilience. We're talking about the power of positive thinking.
It's a concept that sounds so simple. You know, it almost feels like a cliche.
It really does.
But our sources, and we've got a stack of psychological research and guides here, they reveal that positive thinking is less about forced happiness and more about a strategic, learned approach to reality.
So we're moving past the poster slogans.
Way past them. We're going to analyze the specific psychological mechanisms, the proven physiological benefits, and, the actual step-by-step systems you need to implement this kind of mindset shift.
Exactly. The goal here isn't just to tell you to be positive. This deep dive is all about understanding how this mental posture fundamentally alters your decision-making.
What tangible value it creates in your life.
And the practical roadmap to actually cultivate it.
Okay, so I think we have to start with a really precise definition. This is where most people get tripped up.
Right.
Positive thinking is often mistaken for, toxic positivity or just avoidance. But our sources define it as a mental and emotional attitude that focuses on the bright side of life.
It's holding an expectation for a positive outcome.
Yes. But the crucial part is what it doesn't mean.
And what's that?
It does not mean ignoring the painful or unpleasant situations life throws at you.
That's a huge distinction.
It is. Instead, it's about how you approach them productively. It's about looking for the hidden lessons, the actionable steps, or, the opportunities that exist even when things are going badly.
And that approach, according to the sources, it all begins internally.
With self-talk. That is the core mechanism.
Okay.
If your internal monologue is just dominated by negativity, you're going to lean toward pessimism. If it's mostly positive, you lean toward optimism.
And the big realization here, which is backed by a ton of research, is that this ratio isn't fixed.
It's not. You have the inherent power to actively change and redirect that mindset.
That sounds encouraging, but, for someone who has struggled with some deep-seated negativity, what evidence do the sources offer that this isn't just surface-level coping? I mean, if I feel like a born pessimist, is this change genuinely achievable?
That is a critical question. And while some people may have a natural tendency toward anxiety or, let's say, negative forecasting, the sources really stress that optimism is absolutely a learned trait.
So it's a skill, not a personality type.
Exactly. It's a behavioral response, not some innate characteristic. The studies show that optimistic people simply handle challenges in a fundamentally different way that can be taught.
Okay, so let's break that down. What are they actually doing differently when they hit a roadblock?
Two things, really. First, they are intensely focused. They fix their mind directly on what they want to achieve.
Not on the problem itself.
No, on the outcome. And then they work diligently to find specific ways to get it. They don't waste energy on, why the roadblock shouldn't be there.
And the second thing?
The second, and this one takes deliberate practice, is that they choose to seek out the good or the lesson in every single situation, even profoundly difficult ones.
So they acknowledge the setback.
They acknowledge it, but they intentionally search for the positive angle that's hidden underneath the disappointment.
That mental shift, it has real downstream effects, which brings us to one of the most fascinating pieces of research in our sources. The broaden and build theory.
I love this one. It's a theory from psychologist Barbara Fredrickson, and it explains the long-term value created by these momentary positive emotions.
Okay.
It shows that a positive emotion like joy or interest or contentment, it does two things. First, it broadens your sense of possibilities. It makes you more creative, more open-minded.
So you stop seeing just the one single immediate obstacle in front of you.
Precisely. And the second part is the build phase. That openness allows you to spontaneously build new, valuable personal resources that last much longer than the initial feeling.
So a moment of shared joy with colleagues could lead to brainstorming.
And that process builds lasting social bonds and collaborative skills for the entire team. The feeling is temporary, but the skills are permanent.
Or, to use a simpler example from the source, a kid playing happily outside. The joy makes them explore and interact.
Which builds lasting athletic competence and social intelligence. It's proof that positive thinking isn't just about feeling good, it's highly productive.
It's strategic.
It is. And, pushing the boundaries here a little, the sources get into a really interesting assertion about how the mind might literally affect the reality it observes.
You're talking about the connection some people make with quantum physics. Can you clarify this without getting too mystical?
I'll try. It all centers on the power of expectation bias. The source uses this great historical example from physics experiments.
Yeah.
When scientists were observing subatomic reality, they found that how they set up the experiment, which really reflected their initial expectation, determined whether they saw matter behave as particles or as waves.
So their deeply held belief actually drove the observation they were able to make.
Exactly. So the psychological lesson the source pulls from this is that your reality is, in a large part, filtered by what you expect it to be.
If you expect failure, you're prying to see evidence of failure.
And you reinforce it. This is why successful people invest so much in cultivating their mindset. They're basically shaping the lens through which they see the world, making success feel, inevitable.
That transition from scientific how to the philosophical why is really powerful. So let's move to the real-world impact that should motivate everyone listening. If we adopt this learned optimism, what are the tangible benefits? We have to start with coping under pressure.
Right. Positive thinkers are significantly better at coping with stress. A pessimist tends to dwell on the disappointment, right? And that's mentally paralyzing.
You just get stuck.
You get stuck. But an optimist, they immediately shift their focus to action. They make a plan, they ask for help, or they just focus on the parts of the situation they can control.
It's an active coping mechanism, not a passive one.
Exactly. And the research connecting mindset to physical well-being is, it's startling. It goes beyond just feeling good. It affects biological functions.
It does. Our sources cite studies showing a direct link between sustained negative emotions and a weakened immune response.
For instance, negative emotions can actually lessen your body's antibody response to a vaccine. But on the flip side, optimism actively strengthens the immune system.
And the Mayo Clinic's findings on this are really striking. They show that a positive outlook can lower the risk of death from heart disease, it can reduce the chances of developing clinical depression, and is just generally correlated with a longer life.
It's a longevity strategy, a real one.
And that increased capacity to endure hardship, that's resilience, right?
That's resilience, and it's crucial. Optimism provides this necessary buffering system. During an intense crisis, like a natural disaster or a huge economic downturn, positive thinking stops people from falling into that debilitating helplessness.
So instead of freezing, they act.
They act. Optimistic people proactively marshal their resources, they tap into their social network, they ask for help, which creates this powerful defense against a mental breakdown.
And beyond just survival, there are huge social and personal gains. It seems like people are just drawn to positivity.
They absolutely are. Positive thinkers tend to have a more active and fulfilling social life because their energy is just naturally attractive.
And internally?
Internally, that mindset reinforces itself. Positive thinking increases focus, it boosts concentration, and maybe most importantly, it raises your self-confidence because you start valuing your inherent abilities instead of constantly measuring yourself against everyone else.
So we understand the benefits. Now let's turn to the enemy within, the specific patterns of negative thought that actively drain our mental strength. Our source gives this really great mnemonic device for spotting them.
This is where we learn to spot BLU thoughts. It's an acronym that pinpoints the most common insidious patterns of negative self-talk that erode success.
Let's unpack the B, which stands for blaming myself.
This is that tendency to take excessive, often unwarranted responsibility when things go wrong. Now, we all need accountability.
Of course.
But excessive self-blame, studies show it's strongly linked to poor mental health, even the onset of depression. For example, a client cancels a contract. Self-blame says, I'm a total failure and I ruined the whole deal.
Instead of, the market shifted, I need to adjust my pitch.
Exactly.
And L is for looking for the bad news. This is that thing where you might have 10 things go right in the day, a great meeting, a nice lunch, but one minor thing goes wrong, and you spend all evening just dwelling on that one mistake.
And that dwelling, it traps the mind. It's a form of cognitive bias that just filters out all the good stuff. The advice is to stop and get some perspective.
Acknowledge the bad, but see it alongside the good.
Right. Don't let that one instance negate everything else.
Okay, moving on to I'm not happy. Guessing. This is predicting a negative future, worrying you'll fail an exam or embarrass yourself in a presentation.
This one is particularly dangerous because it so quickly becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you are certain you're going to fail, you unconsciously hold back your effort.
You don't prepare as well.
You don't. The mind has to be trained to do the exact opposite. Replace those unhappy guesses with a vivid, detailed visualization of success. That empowers you to actually do the work.
And finally, E is for exaggeratedly negative. This is labeling a whole experience a great disaster, or telling yourself your job is a complete joke because of one bad quarter.
That hyperbolic language, it just fuels a spiral.
Yeah.
If you believe your situation is irredeemable, there's no motivation to fix it.
And the source highlights the physiological consequences of this.
It does. When negative thinking takes over, it essentially tricks the brain into constantly activating the fight or flight response.
And what happens when that stress system is always on?
It leads to physical exhaustion, it weakens the immune system, and it disrupts our ability to process information clearly. When you accumulate these negative emotional taxes, your confidence just shatters.
And that reduces creativity, impairs memory.
It impacts everything.
Yeah.
Eliminating BLUE thoughts is a prerequisite for just optimizing your cognitive function.
We've established the why and the what to watch out for. Now, for the part our listeners really care about, the practical, actionable systems to retrain the mind. And we have to start with language.
We do. The link between the language you use and your neurological processing is direct and it's profound. I mean, consider the simple difference in phrasing.
Okay.
Telling a team member, come to the meeting on time versus do not come to the meeting late. They mean the same thing, but the positive framing is received totally differently.
And industry consultants have estimated that choosing positive, affirming language can bolster communication effectiveness by, 30 to 40%?
And the internal effect is even stronger. When you habitually use positive words like loving kindness or love or peace, the neurological effect is remarkable.
What does it do to the brain?
It actually modifies brain function. It increases cognitive reasoning and bolsters activity in the frontal lobe, where complex thought happens.
And negative words.
Negative words instantly activate the brain's fear center and produce stress hormones. They disrupt logic and planning. So training your vocabulary is quite literally training your brain structure.
So let's get into the structured techniques from the source to make this positive shift a daily reality.
The first step is just simple observation. Observing your thoughts and triggers. You have to become like a forensic detective of your own mind.
So identify when and where negative thoughts creep in.
Exactly. Is it every Sunday evening before the work week? Is it before client travel? Knowing the trigger lets you design a solution, like pre-planning your Monday morning to ease into the week.
Once you know the triggers, you can use deeper methods for subconscious retraining.
Right, this involves techniques like NLP or tapping, but the goal is simple. They're designed to bypass the conscious analytical mind to interrupt those deep-seated automatic negative responses.
They help you build new affirming beliefs.
Yes, beliefs that neutralize old limiting patterns. And then there's a simple, non-negotiable daily habit, the daily positivity scan.
This one is great. Every night before bed, just reflect on and record 3 specific positive encounters.
No matter how small they are. It could be a compliment from a coworker, a successful pitch, or just noticing a moment of peace. This forces your brain to search for and register evidence of positive outcomes.
Strengthening those neural pathways.
Absolutely. And the focus shouldn't only be internal. Giving positivity is a powerful antidote to anxiety.
So expressing compassion, doing something nice for someone.
Or just intentionally giving someone a shout out of gratitude. It's deeply fulfilling. It breaks you out of that cycle of self-absorption that often fuels negativity.
We also have to address the foundation. Self-care.
Non-negotiable. Diet, sleep, exercise, it's all mandatory. It's a physiological truth that failing to get good restorative sleep naturally stimulates negative thought processes.
It just makes it harder to regulate your emotions.
Much harder. A healthy body, on the other hand, consistently releases mood-lifting hormones, which is a key part of maintaining a resilient mindset.
Finally, we need to apply this mental shift to our long-term goals by developing systems for success.
Right. The source makes it so clear. Success isn't just about wishing for things or having a checklist. It requires developing winning systems that become second nature.
And this involves 3 critical components.
First, you have to constantly understand and assess your strengths and weaknesses. Second, don't reinvent the wheel. You have to study successful people, find mentors, and intelligently adapt their winning formulas to your own situation.
And the third component, it ties right back to our definition of positive thinking. It's about being productive, not avoidant.
Absolutely. The third component is anticipating challenges to prepare solutions proactively. If you see a potential problem coming, you can prepare an alternate course of action.
Which allows for adaptability and flexibility.
And that prevents the shock that can throw a negative thinker right into a spiral.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive into the systems and the science behind positive thinking.
I think the central takeaway is that positive thinking isn't passive wishing. It's a conscious, active choice that demands work, like a mental workout.
But one that leads to phenomenal success and, deep personal joy.
And the source reminds us that the power of the mind has 2 indispensable halves.
The first half is the positive mindset, that unwavering conviction that you will achieve your dreams.
And the second half lies in the actions you take. That's the realm of willpower. It's the consistent, deliberate action driven by that positive thinking that turns your thoughts into a concrete reality.
So you don't just think positively.
You have to overpower negativity with a triple dose of positive action.
As the great Norman Vincent Peale wisely stated, change your thoughts and you change your world. You now know the psychological mechanisms and the specific systems you need to adopt. So if your success is genuinely based on your mindset, what small system or action will you implement today to ensure your thinking translates into inevitable success rather than waiting for some hypothetical perfect moment?
You have the tools now, you just have to use them.
Hayward Podworks. 100 shows, one vision.
All right, this is Hayward Podworks, and that's today's episode. If this helped you, do me a favor, hit follow, leave a quick rating, and share it with one person who'd get value. Want the extras, links, and new drops? Check the show notes. Until next time, stay sharp, stay consistent, and keep building. Hayward Podworks. We'll talk soon.